Hi, my name is Joshua, and it's my night to share a word with the family again. And tonight I'm going to be in Psalm chapter 34, starting with verse 1. I will bless the Lord at all times, his praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord, let the afflicted hear and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. Look to him and be radiant, so your faces shall never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy is the man who takes refuge in him. O fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him have no want. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Come, O sons, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. What man is there who desires life, and covets many days, that he may enjoy good? Keep your tongue from evil, and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil, and do good. Seek peace, and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous, and his ears toward their cry. The face of the Lord is against evildoers, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears, and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted, and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. And so the first main thing I wanted to talk about from this is the fear of the Lord. And so the fear of the Lord is when you're afraid of, not necessarily being afraid of God himself, but being afraid of disobeying him because you know the things that God can do. Because God can do all things, so you know that if you have someone who, I guess you could say, there's a servant and a master, and that servant disobeys the master, so they get punished for disobeying. It's the same thing in a way with God. And then when the servant does what the master tells them to do, then the master rewards the servant, if they're faithful to do what the master tells them to do. And so when we're faithful to do what God tells us to do, he gives us refuge, and he protects us. Because you're not going to let a servant be in danger who you know is really valuable. So the more valuable you are, the more the master wants to protect you to make sure he can keep you, and so that you don't get in harm's way or anything like that. And so fearing the Lord means that you do everything he tells you to do because you know the things that he can do if you don't obey him, and also just because of who he is. So we need to make sure that we're not just taking God for granted and thinking that we can get away with disobeying him or doing things the way we want to do things. But we need to realize that God is above all things and that nothing can touch him. And that if there's someone else trying to convince us to do the opposite of what God wants us to do, we need to realize that God can do more to us than that person can. And as long as we're obeying God to the fullest, he's going to protect us from all of our afflictions. Like it says in verse 19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. So we're going to go through afflictions, but the Lord will deliver us because we are righteous. And so another thing was that the Lord through our lives, if we're obeying the Lord and doing what he tells us to do, there are going to be people who come against us, people who try to put us into situations that we don't want to be in or put us down or things like that. But vengeance is the Lord. And it's not our job to get back at the people who try to harm us or try to do things to us, but it's the Lord who is going to give the vengeance to them or take vengeance on them. And one reason why we should let Lord take vengeance is because we don't know, or God can do a lot more to them than we can. He knows exactly what they need and what they don't need. He knows how to hurt them and how to help them, which is why we need to listen to the Lord on who to help, and then for the ones that God wants to take out or punish, we let him do that work because he knows what they need or what they don't need. And so we need to make sure we're not trying to step in God's way by getting back at someone ourselves just because we're mad or in a desperate time. But we need to make sure we think before we act and listen before we talk. Because we could say one wrong word to a person that puts us into a situation that we don't need to be in and that God didn't want us to be in. And so we need to make sure we're going by what God tells us to do and sticking by His word. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was that everything we do is supposed to be glorifying to God. So the places we go, the people we talk to, the things we do. And even through the times when we're going through afflictions, if we still act righteous, even when we're going through those times, people will recognize that. They'll recognize a difference about you because even when you go through those times, you're still acting like you're supposed to in the way a Christian should carry themselves. So the main thing is you're supposed to keep up peace because you know the Lord will get you through all those afflictions no matter what it is, because the Lord is greater than all the things, like I said before. So there's nothing that He can't get you through, and He will get you through all the things if you are following Him and listening to every word He gives you. And that was all I had. Thank y'all for watching. Have a good night.